Hello, everyone. Welcome. First episode, Infotainment Sports Dynasty Fantasy Football podcast. It's me, Ben, here with Marcus. Excited today to jump into the first episode talking about Dynasty quarterbacks, which is going to be pretty exciting. So I have all my rankings set out, and I'm just going to go through my rankings in tiers and see if Marcus agrees with it or where he disagrees with it, which very well might happen. So, without further ado, all right. I actually have 6 tiers for my top 20, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Because I know you said you wanted to tiers, so I kind of broke mine out, and I thought it'd be 5, but it's 6.
Yeah. I prefer the tier system over the ranking system because sometimes to me it's just hard to really choose number one, especially when you got guys that do different things for different reasons. So
yeah,
I've really come around to the tier system in the last 4 or 5 years.
It's important, especially in drafts. I find tier system very important. All right, so in my 6th tier, my very worst quarterback that made the cut at number 20 is J.J. McCarthy. And I'll be honest, I'm not a huge J.J. McCarthy fan. I wasn't searching for him in the draft. I know we just did a startup. I think you ended up with him, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yep. So the upside is there. The system's there. I'm excited for the potential, I guess. The situation obviously is great, but I didn't want to overrank or overdraft somebody based on just the situation being good, because situations change all the time. But I mean, there is still a really good opportunity for him there. I wanted him to be top 20. Obviously that's still a QB2, which is great for a rookie who's not going to be starting right away. It could be higher, but I don't know. I feel comfortable with him being like a lower end QB2 to start, and it could be better. That's where I am. I don't know if you think he's better than that or worse. Curious.
I have a hard time with rookies just because they haven't shown anything. Obviously, Caleb Williams got all the hype, but we haven't seen him play at all. But I think what I'm really high on with J.J. McCarthy is going to the Vikings, having Justin Jefferson off the rip. You get T.J. Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. You have not only the weapons, but Kevin O'Connell, I think, is what he was able to do last year with Josh Dobbs. If you get a kid that comes in there that has a mind that's like clay that you can mold into whatever you want, I think that's pretty dangerous with Kevin O'Connell. So, but yeah, I mean, from the when is he going to start and the whole he hasn't played a single snap thing, I can see why you'd have him there.
Yeah.
I don't really get too upset about where rookies are ranked in general, just because it's a crapshoot. It's all a mystery. Yeah.
Yep. I agree with the Kevin O'Connell thing. I don't know about the Joshua Dobbs thing, because he was a good mobile quarterback and made things happen with his feet. But once he settled in and actually was doing the offense, he didn't play very well. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think JJ's a little bit better than that. I think I knocked him down a little bit, I think, because the Vikings, all reports were that they were trying to get Drake May. They liked him a lot. So, I don't know. It's not really a consolation prize thing with McCarthy. Obviously, they still like him. They wanted a quarterback this year. I think they really feel like they needed a quarterback, and they were they went for it. He was the guy that was there. They didn't get the guy they really wanted. So I don't know. He's young. I think that's what's going for him, is he's really young, and it could work. So that's why I still like him here. I think 20 is probably the right spot for me. And as we get into more guys, maybe you can say if you like him higher than that or not. But sweet. All right. Then 19, same tier, brings Bryce Young. Unfortunately, in my dynasty that you're in as well, I drafted him last year over CJ Stroud, which I don't know if you remember that or not, but I was so, when that pick came up, I was so on the fence, and I was trying to get out of it so hard. I kept trying to trade out of it. And later I ended up packaging him with a whole bunch of other pieces for Amon-Ra, so I think it worked out. But man, when I had the pick, I really wanted Stroud. I liked the bigger quarterback. I liked his tape. I thought it was going to work out, but I went with Young, and it's been ugly. to say the least. But he's on the list still as a QB2 at number 19 because I think there's still a lot of promise there. I think they've changed enough stuff. They've brought in enough pieces that this year's obviously going to be better than last year. There's no doubt about it. I would not be surprised at all if at the end of the year he ends up looking better than quarterback 19, but also it just looks so bad. So I don't want to put him any higher right now.
Yeah. I think for Bryce Young, I think last year it was very unfair for him to go to such a terrible situation in Carolina.
Yeah.
I think Carolina signed 2 offensive guards. They traded for Deontay Johnson and they drafted Xavier Legette.
Yep.
So I really think they're trying to fix it for him, which is important. I think if they were to send him out in the same situation as they did last year, I think it'd be pretty much the same look, and it wouldn't, I kind of think of like Josh Rosen. Like, did we ever actually see if that guy had a chance? That guy had several coordinators,
yeah,
several offenses, and yeah, he didn't look very good, but he was also getting tossed around quite a bit. So
yeah.
I'm hopeful. I mean, I think Bryce Young is going to have a chance. So
yep.
That's going to be the biggest thing.
Yep, he'll have a chance. I think he's got a good mind. He knows how to play the quarterback position. It's just the pieces weren't there. I mean, the jump to the NFL is huge. I mean, even though he's in the SEC, like the jump is huge. So yeah, it was tough for him the first year. Maybe he'll settle in a little bit. I mean, even Lawrence is still looking a little skittish at times. So he's been in the league for a while. I have him here because I think there's a chance to make a jump. The next guy, a little interesting. I have 18 is Jared Goff, and I think Jared Goff is the perfect QB2. He's a guy that's going to get numbers. He's very predictable when it comes to home road splits, when it comes to inside versus outside. This year he's going to have a lot of indoor games and obviously same number of home games, but his schedule is favorable for him. The Lions have one of the easiest schedules when it comes to defenses they're playing. So this year's he's going to look good. I don't see him as a QB1, but he's a very, very solid QB2. And I don't know. I think he's just you get what you get with Goff. I would love to have him as a QB2, but I don't think of him as much higher than that. If you can acquire him for QB2 price, then you're doing good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I have him in tier 3. He kind of
falls Your tier 3? How many tiers do you have for top 20?
Well, it's going to be more than top 20, but right now I've got about 4 or 5 tiers.
Oh,
but
total.
It's definitely got more than 20.
Okay.
But I just look at tier 1 as like the builder, like these, cornerstone almost quarterbacks, and then you've got the low end quarterback 1, high end quarterback 2 tier, and then you got like the tier 3.
Sure.
We'll get into it.
They're okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He falls into that. I kind of see him similar to Purdy. No disrespect to Purdy, but it's just like the team is around him, and he's good when the team is good. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Definitely a like you're saying, high end tier quarterback number 2.
Yep. Yeah, he slots right in, gets you points, but I mean, he's not a guy you're gonna next year be like, oh shoot, he's a QB1 and I missed out. He's gonna be a QB2. Yeah, I think that's just where he is.
Those are the guys I want as my QB2. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like winning leagues with.
Yeah.
With those guys.
Yeah, I just remember multiple different times the last 2 years. I'm like, gosh, I just wish I had Jared Goff as a QB2.
Yep.
Like, I just wish I could get him for something cheap. I feel that all the time. All right, I think this is my last guy in this tier, but after Jared Goff, I have Tua Tagovailoa at 17. It's weird. I feel like he definitely could be higher. Like, I want him to be higher. He like led the league in passing last year, but also wasn't a QB1. So like kind of a crazy stat. And when you see games played and you see his stats, I just remember looking at the stats, the score boxes last year and being like, I really want Tua. Like, he's good. And I had Waddle for a while and I was just like, man, he's getting like 400 yards a game. This is crazy. So I just don't know if the touchdown numbers are going to go up or down or what, but I think for me, he's lower. He's lower than I think he maybe should be, and a lot of it is the concussion concerns. If he gets concussed 1 or 2 more times, who knows? If he gets a bad one, it could be bad. But But also they brought in Jonnu Smith. OBJ is the third wide receiver. They have high power weapons. Tyreek Hill seems to want to be there for a little bit. It's a great offense. So I don't know. It's hard to put him down here, but I think the unknown makes it a little scary for me. I think the guys I have higher than this, I just would feel safer with, is maybe what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of speed on that team, and they keep bringing in more speed.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing, I agree, is the injury stuff for Tua. I do like Tua. I have him in one of my other dynasty leagues along with Waddle. I actually have Trevor Lawrence in that same league, so it's
Nice.
kind of an interesting. But
Yeah.
I have Tua as a low end tier 2, high end tier 3, like above Jared Goff, like you have him.
Yep.
Above Purdy. I think I have him above Purdy just because I like not that the San Francisco offense isn't explosive, it's just a different kind of explosive. The explosive runs through Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel doing ground stuff, whereas the Dolphins are just Tyreek's faster than everybody else in the world. Yep. So let me just throw it as far as I can.
Yep.
So that's why I have Tua a little bit higher. But I definitely, the injury thing is a concern, but it seems like we're past it. And from what I've gathered is that he's worked on protecting himself a little bit better. And
look Tua lost a lot of weight doing fighting stuff. Talking about Purdy and Tua, I think that's an interesting conversation to have because they're very similar. I think it's weird because I have Tua ranked lower. I have Purdy ranked higher. Spoiler. I think Tua is a better quarterback. I think I'm just concerned. Like if it's a dynasty quarterback and I'm paying the price to get one, I think the concussion thing scares me. We may be past it. He had a whole year without him, but I don't know. With the history of it, if he gets another bad one, it could be done. It could be. We just don't know. Mm-hmm. But I like him a lot. I think he should be higher. I'm just scared. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, and that was my last QB in tier 6, and now we're moving into tier 5. So starting tier 5 for me, and a little bit of surprise, I have Drake May ahead of Tua as my QB 16. And I think a lot of this is just that I'm high on him. I like him. I took him in the league we just started up that you're commissioning. I took Drake May. I just like the tape. I like what I see. I think he's a solid quarterback, and I think he's a smart guy that's going to develop. The Patriots wide receiver core a little shaky, but they seem like they want to invest in it and find guys to grow with him, which I believe in. I don't know. I think the upside's there. Rookie quarterbacks, there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks in this top 20, and when it comes to dynasty, you gotta get a guy like Drake May could turn into a top 10 quarterback. He could be QB1. So I think he had to be included in the top 20, and just with the uncertainty and the kind of averageness of the guys behind him, I think the upside is there for him to be at number 16 for me.
Yeah. I have him lower. I kind of have him actually low end tier 3, high end tier 4, but that's honestly just kind of like my question mark range. I don't really know. I just don't, the wide receiver, I know it's a new regime in New England, so who's to say? I would, if you're doing a startup or if you're doing a rookie draft and you can grab him, I would totally recommend grabbing Jacoby Brissett along with Drake May, kind of like this Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy stack. That's what I did in our startup.
Yeah.
Just to kind of secure yourself this next, at least one season, because it sounds like, from what I've read, it's kind of a toss-up in New England. It could be Drake May or Jacoby Brissett, but up until just a little bit ago, it was kind of uncertain. It seemed like with J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, now Darnold was announced the starter, which gives I hope teams start kind of moving to that. Yep. I hope the Packers have kind of shown it enough that it works out and we can calm down, because I think there's a lot of careers that get ruined because guys get thrown to the fire pretty quickly. So I have Drake May at lower, but that's just kind of my question mark tier.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if he ends up a tier 2 quarterback by the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised necessarily.
You mentioned earlier too, with your rookie quarterbacks, you're just unsure. They're unproven. So I get it. I could just see him coming in halfway through the season and showing promise, and you don't have to show a lot.
No.
If you show a little bit, even Will Levis showed a little bit, and people are still kind of excited about him. So I think if Drake May shows a little bit of what I think he is, I think this is right where he's going to be, and this is where I want him. This is where I would take him. But let's get into the a little bit of what you talked about, Jacoby Brissett. So I think with May and McCarthy and their like handcuff quarterbacks, the guys will be starting. It's a curious thing because if you're a competitive dynasty team, obviously I think that's the right move to get those guys. But if you're like middle of the pack or not competing, like, do you think you should overpay for those guys to have them? Or like, is it really important for, like, if someone's, let's just say someone's not competing, should they try to get Jacoby Brissett or Sam Darnold? Like, are they going to start for more than half a season? I feel like when they draft a guy top 12, you're probably going to play them, right?
Yeah.
They usually play year one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it all kind of depends upon, like, I guess how bad you are. Like, if you're a pretty terrible team and you're going to need a starting quarterback in week one. For me, I mean, I traded for Sam Darnold in our startup because that Superflex startup, that one went just entirely different than I thought. I took Justin Jefferson at 107, and then I came back around with my next pick, and Jamar Chase was there. Yeah. So I took him, and then I traded up into the end of second round to get Jahmyr Gibbs. So my first 3 picks are not quarterbacks. In a super flex. So then I drafted I got Dak Prescott, I got JJ McCarthy, and then like middle rounds of the draft, I told you I was going to take Sam Darnold with that pick.
I know.
And the
I
pick
remember.
before me went Sam Darnold. The dude took his like 8th quarterback, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But I ended up striking a deal with him where essentially I gave up my next 3 rounds for his last 3 rounds. So the quality
just to get the one pick.
Well, I went like 0 quarterback damn near in like a super flex startup, and it was just so weird. I was like, I have to, if I want to compete this year, I have to get. And I don't know. I just like the starting quarterback for Minnesota. I feel like those weapons.
I think Darnold's going to be good. Confident. That's the weird part, is I think Darnold's going to be good. I don't know, I just don't know how that's going to be handled. I think Darnold's going to play well. I think he's going to play well, and I don't know, like, it's just, I don't know what they're going to do, because he's going to play well, and they're going to be like, well, we drafted McCarthy at 12, so we're going to have to play him. And then what's going to happen to Darnold next year if he plays well this year?
Yeah, well, he's on a 1-year contract, so I think if he plays well this year, like, depending upon how well he plays, like, I guess, I don't know, I'm not an NFL GM necessarily, but I could just, he's 26, like, he has a chance, too, for himself to go, and this is another reason why I kind of grabbed him in the startup, is, like, he's 26, if he goes out and proves himself, we could see a Geno Smith, a Baker Mayfield type resurgence in the career, and then it's like, then you got yourself a guy for the next, 5 to 8, maybe 10 years.
Yeah. He definitely could be another bridge for another team, or he could go and start for somebody who like has sucky quarterbacks. And
I also think that's he's a different case than Jacoby Brissett, because I guess I don't know Jacoby Brissett's age, but he's been around, or like Tyrod Taylor, he's been around. He's kind of already found himself in that backup role, whereas Sam Darnold has the chance to, like, at least one more chance to show yourself. Yep,
Darnold's one of those guys, like you're talking about earlier, put him in the wrong situation. You never get to see what could have been, I think.
If you get drafted by the Jets, whether you're Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson or
Mark Sanchez,
or he won a playoff game, I think.
He won a playoff game. Yep. All right. I'll move into my 15, and I think I moved him lower than consensus, maybe. I have Dak Prescott at 15, and I think with him, you get what you think you get with him. He's going to be high-end QB2, which I think is very valuable. He gets you the points. He had a crazy end to the last season, so 15 could be a value. That's just where, like, I have him. He's like 30, 31 now, and I think the reason I put him lower is just because I think it's weird that the Cowboys aren't paying him. They're just not giving him a contract, and I just find that weird. Like, they have to pay him and CD, and they're not. So and is he just gonna end up on a different team and not be the same guy? I'm
calling it. I'm calling it right now. My shot right now is he's gonna be on the Raiders next year.
Yeah, I can see that. They'll give him a multi-year max deal that he wants, and then he'll just feel spited by the Cowboys and leave.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins just got $180 million off a torn ACL, and he's 36. You can't tell me Dak isn't about to get 220 and whatever.
Yeah. I don't know why the Cowboys aren't doing it. And maybe they'll just give him the deal and he'll be there and he'll be good. And then if that's the case, I think I'd have him like slightly higher than this. But still, I think he just is what he is. Like, the end of last year was crazy. I mean, him and CD, if you had their stack, it was just insane. But
yeah,
I don't know. Just the weirdness to me, I think, dropped him down a few pegs.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. I have him high in tier 3, and the uncertainty of Dallas, I guess, kind of has me having him there, but I could easily slide him into tier 3, depending upon how your roster is constructed. I mean, obviously, I have him as my QB1. I think, there are better options out there, obviously, but I think Dak's going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, he can function as a QB1 if you have upside elsewhere, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say age is kind of why I have him, but I don't think that's really fair because, like, 30 years old now, like, 30 is kind of, it's getting, modern medicine and all that. Like with Kirk Cousins coming off a torn Achilles at 36 and getting 180 million is like, Dak can play another 10 years.
I think it's depending on play style. I think it's like 38 to 40 is like what you can do now. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, his bad injury obviously limited his mobility. He looked even better when he had the mobility and the rushing upside. But
yeah, I'm talking myself into him being a tier 2 quarterback for myself. I'd probably bump him up. Yeah, just because CD's a weapon, and I truly think, like, if he hits free agency next year, he's going to get the bag from a team that is legit a quarterback away.
I think that's bad for him. I think if he switches teams, I've seen too many times guys switching teams and not being good. I
could see him. I'm maybe, since I'm an Eagles fan, I just kind of want him out of Dallas so I can cheer for him a little bit more because I really do like Dak Prescott, the guy, his story, all of that. But I could see just like guy being shafted by Dallas and then going to the Raiders, who are just that hard-nosed, gritty, dirty team, and he just goes out there, buys into the Raider way, and
I could see that going well. Gardner has a 2-year deal, but I'm sure they can get out of it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he could back up Dak Prescott pretty good.
He's proven to be a good backup.
Yeah, right.
That puts me at 14. This is where I put Purdy, which I think is weird because I put Purdy ahead of Dak, and I think it's the age and the certainty. Like they're going to keep him there. He runs that offense. Yeah, he runs that offense well. He's probably not worth what they're going to pay him, but he just fits so perfect. I don't know how else to describe it. Like he's not like a difference maker, game changer like Mahomes is, but he runs Kyle Shanahan's system the way he wants it run. And that's all they needed. They took him last pick in the draft, and he just turned out to be exactly what they wanted. Got rid of Lance. I don't know. And the weapons are there. I would maybe even consider him a little bit higher, but it's just with the uncertainty with their wide receivers. I don't know. Pearsall could turn out, but obviously between Ayuk and Debo, they're not going to keep both of them. That's kind of become apparent so far. I don't know. I'd be surprised if they were able to keep both. Ayuk is just going off on social media, so he seems like he wants out.
Yeah.
And maybe they pay him and he stays, but then I think they're going to have to do something with Debo, like maybe the end of this year. They'll have one more year to run it back unless Ayuk really gets disgruntled, but I think he's great. I mean, he obviously gets like 2 touchdowns a game, like guaranteed. Good quarterback.
Guy's a first down machine too.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of first downs.
Yep.
He's kind of that go-to guy on 3rd down for them.
Yep. Do you like him here?
Pretty, I kind of have him around like Dak Prescott. Spoiler alert, kind of Kirk Cousins, kind of low in tier 2, high end tier 3. I would probably put Purdy high end tier 3 and Dak above him, just because I know Dak is going to do the numbers. The Niners just run through McCaffrey, and there's nothing Purdy can really do about that. That's not his fault. That's just how it works. But I mean, I still think he's a safe quarterback two on the team, and I don't necessarily know if I would feel comfortable trying to squeeze him in as your QB1. Like that's where I kind of see Purdy similar as Goff in this.
It's exactly how I feel. Yeah. I feel like if I had him as my QB1, I'd feel gross, but if he's my QB2, I feel great. Like if Purdy is my QB2, I feel like he's solid, consistent, gets the points I need for my QB2. That's why I have him at 14. That's like the upper end of QB2, 14 and 13. So that's exactly how I think of him.
Yep.
All right. Going into tier 4 now, my number 13 quarterback is Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders. Obviously, this is an upside play. He's a little bit of an older quarterback at 24 coming out, but obviously his Heisman season last year looked amazing. If it hits, it's going to hit. He's going to be higher than this. What I like about his game is obviously he's a great rusher. I wouldn't put him in the top 3 rushing quarterbacks in the NFL, which is kind of a concern when you're going all in on a rushing quarterback coming out of the draft. But he throws it
top 3
rushing.
Yeah.
Allen, Hurts, Richardson are that just easily bumps him out of the top 3. So
Lamar Jackson hater.
Sorry, Lamar too. Okay, rushing skill wise, Lamar number 1.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot about them. So yeah, he's out of the top 3. I just named the top 3 that came to my mind.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No worries. But his strengths, he throws a really good deep ball down the sideline. He's got some accuracy at times. I can see where it could fall apart a little bit, but the upside's there. Guys figure stuff out when they go to the NFL sometimes, not all the time, but if he figures out how to do the normal NFL quarterback stuff, his athleticism and his skill set's going to be great. I shy away sometimes from rushing quarterbacks just because of the uncertainty of injuries and longevity, but man, if you get him now, starting his rookie season, he could be great for you. So I think the best QB2 is where I have him stacked.
Yeah. Yeah, I knock him down I don't necessarily knock him down the list, but I'm just cautious because the uncertainty of the rookie quarterback, but also the upside is there, and in our league I have Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, so it's kind of that upside of that. I would probably say I put him at the end of my tier 2. And the only reason really why is because of the uncertainty of him never playing a snap in the league. So we've seen guys the number 2 overall pick before turn to Sam Darnold, or guys who they don't hit. Yeah.
And especially, I don't know, have there been a lot of running quarterbacks that have been drafted top 3 or 5 that haven't hit? I'm trying to think of some, and I don't know if I can.
That haven't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they're becoming more popular. Is just there's a floor there because they can make plays athletically with their feet. I don't know. I can't think of top 5 rushing quarterbacks. Maybe because they haven't drafted them that way. I don't know.
Right, because Lamar was 32nd pick. Ravens traded back in and get that 5th-year option. Jalen Hurts was the 2nd round.
Yep.
Josh Allen was the the first.
Yeah, he was a 12, I think.
12, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then Anthony Richardson, I feel like Anthony Richardson goes high because of Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. He looks like a combination. He's a freak.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a freak, yeah.
He's just an all-around freak. So,
yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I haven't seen it fail yet. I think maybe that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't think I should move him up. I think this is it. I think this is where he is for his upside and his risk. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody can tell us in the comments that we're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Jane Daniels, best quarterback ever, or total bust. Hasn't played a snap yet, but total bust.
To your point about it not failing, I have a guy wrote down here. He's end of tier 4 guy that we probably wouldn't talk about, but Deshaun Watson too. When he first came out, dude was nasty, and then he was nasty. But
his is all off-field stuff. It's all mental in his head. I mean, he has all the talent in the world, but he's done for. Yeah, he's not in this list.
No.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I mean, our startup, I think that was the season he was going to be out the whole year, and I drafted him in our draft because I got him in the 5th or 6th round. I was feeling pretty good about it. I was like, yeah, I got a value on a guy. I'm not competing year 1. I was feeling good about it, and then I got rid of him as quick as I could. It didn't look good when he came back.
Yeah, the only reason why he is in my tier 4 is because there's that glimmer of hope that we're talking about, where that potential of upside. He's
going to start. He's getting paid. There's no way they're not going to start him.
So he's going to have an opportunity.
He can show it. Yep. All right. 12, I have Kyler Murray. So he's my lowest end QB1. And number 12, is that too low?
No, I was just saying, speaking of rushing.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like,
he's higher than Jaden Daniels, too, right now.
Yeah, he doesn't, I guess, like rush, but he Scoobies around pretty good.
He Scoobies around like you stole your cell phone, yeah.
Yeah, like looks like a toddler running around with a cell phone. Good point.
Yeah, you can't see it, but I have the picture up here, and I'm just looking at his hand in the football, and I'm like, yeah, he's tiny. He's small.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's shown promise. He's going to be good. And now that he has Marvin Harrison, and his wide receiver 2 right now is Michael Wilson, who I believe in a lot. I have him on my Dynasty team, and I love Michael Wilson. I think they're set up right now to do really well. I think Kyler, he's going to finish higher than QB12 this year, I think. I think so. My biggest concern with him, honestly, is just all of the noise and buzz with people who've played with him just saying he's not a leader, and he's just like, he's a good football player, but like no one rallies around him. They don't really care. Like, I don't know. He's probably not like best friends with everyone on the team. He just kind of like shows up, plays football well, goes home. And I think if I'm drafting a guy, I want him to be it. I want him to like have the team around him and like go make plays. And maybe he can change that, but maybe it's a maturity thing with Call of Duty. I don't know. I think that's why I have him here. He's got a lot of potential. I love Kyler Murray. I have 11 guys higher than him.
Yeah. Yeah, I have him that tier 2 range, kind of in the middle. Could be at the bottom too, but I mean the other thing I guess I have hope for in him, I guess, would be like he is 26 and like he's been with the same team. And I know it's different coaches and coordinators and stuff, but to your point, like they've put weapons around him. They've grabbed Marvin Harrison Jr. Did they sign Zay Jones? Was that them that signed Zay Jones?
Yes. Yep.
Another weapon. Got the tight end in McBride. So,
McBride's coming on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just drafted a running back to go with James Conner. I think they're giving him an opportunity, and we've seen that he has the skill set to do it. So, I don't mind him there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think he's going to finish higher than 12 this next year, but dynasty-wise, with guys I want, I have guys higher. But
yeah,
he's solid QB1 range. Number 11, I have Trevor Lawrence, which I love Trevor Lawrence. He's a guy that I wanted to get on my team for a while. I've had Justin Herbert on my main dynasty team for a while and thought it'd be cool to pair Herbert with Lawrence to get the long hair combo. So I've always kind of had a keen eye for him, and I love his like 6'6" frame, his rushing upside. He's mobile and he does a lot of things. He throws on the run well. He's obviously a highly touted prospect. The reason I like him like more than Kyler, I mean, obviously the age and the upside, but like they drafted Brian Thomas this year, which I think is going to be amazing for him. Christian Kirk is solid. Evan Ingram's solid. They're putting a lot of pieces around him that I think are going to be great, and I just think his talent is untapped right now. I think he can go up. He's one of these guys that I think could take a multiple spot jump in the next year or two. I think at 11 he could certainly be higher than this. I think his potential is there. But obviously it hasn't like hit yet, so that's why I have him here.
Yeah. Yeah, that same league that I have two, I was saying I also have Trevor Lawrence. I'm a huge Trevor Lawrence supporter. I think he gets wrongfully hated on for like I feel like we need to take his rookie year with Urban Meyer and kind of
burn it.
Kind of flush that down the toilet. And like when he got that contract, there was a lot of negativity surrounding his name floating around on Twitter, or X, if you call it that.
Yep.
And I found that there was a video somebody had posted, and it was a 2-minute clip of his receivers dropping catchable balls. Now, I'll be honest, 2-minute clip, there was probably a minute 30 of that of like pure drops. Yeah. There's another 30 seconds of it where it would have been like pretty good catch, spectacular catch on the receiver. So I won't hide that fact, but he was throwing like Calvin Ridley alone, which I have Calvin Ridley in a few leagues, and he upset me a lot last year.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Dude dropped probably like 5 or 6 touchdowns alone himself.
Or his foot was out of bounds. That was the common thing. He couldn't get 2 feet in the end zone. Yeah, I had Ridley too. It was so frustrating.
Yeah, so I agree. I like Trevor Lawrence. I drafted Trevor Lawrence the first pick his rookie season in my other dynasty league. So I'm still in on him. I think like last year, I remember the one game he just dropped the fumble, and I think there's that kind of stuff that people really harp on, which is fair. Like that's kind of unnecessary
Yep.
and can't be happening. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on Trevor Lawrence. I have him high end tier two. Him and like you're saying, him and Herbert are similar to me
Yep.
in they both have the talent. It's just like
Yeah.
put it together.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I don't think I have anything to add to that. It's perfect. 10. This is a weird one for me. We'll see how this goes. Is Jordan Love. He's a guy that I had initially drafted in my startup dynasty. I drafted him in like the 11th or 12th round. I just saw it coming. I saw Rodgers leaving. I saw Love coming in, and I thought there's potential there. However, like through the year, even last year, like through the first 6 or 7 weeks, it honestly didn't look good. Like as a Packer fan watching all the games, I didn't think it looked good. I thought we were going to be looking for the next guy, which, I mean, now at the end of the season, in hindsight, everyone's saying that Love looks great and he's like a top dynasty quarterback. I was a little concerned. I think just with their young, talented, cheap wide receiver core and the promise he has shown, I felt like he had to be a top 10, but I wanted him to be at the bottom of it. I love him, but I'm just a little scared that some of it was fluky and it might not last. I think maybe that was like the best version of him. People are going to figure him out a little bit. I would still like him as a top 10 dynasty QB, but there's a little bit of things that are scaring there.
Yeah. I have him tier 2. I get these feelings when I watch football and I just like latch onto them sometimes. And when I saw him fluttering around in the pocket and doing the little Aaron Rodgers foot thing and then just like flicking the wrist, I was like, Packers got another one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so mad about it. Like, you lucky sons of bitches.
That makes me happy too, but sometimes that scares me. Like when he's fluttering, when his feet are fluttering in the pocket, it makes me think he's scared. And like sometimes when he does it, he's throwing off his back foot. And God, his arm talent is amazing. Like he makes the throws, but a lot of times it looks skittish when he does that. Like it doesn't look like when Rodgers does it, he's just like adjusting and throwing. Love looks a little bit more scared when he does it, which scares me. But obviously, I mean, it looks good when it comes out.
Well, I would say we should pull up Rodgers tape from year 3 or year 4.
Oh yeah.
Pretty similar.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I mean, I still understand what you're saying as far as he has to put it together too. Like I know we haven't gotten to Anthony Richardson yet, but like that's how I feel about Anthony Richardson to a maximum, where it's like talent through the roof, but like do it again. And I mean it's kind of like the way it is, I guess, in the league, and there's a lot of these guys that we're talking about of just like having to prove it again and again and again. But I'll be curious to see if Love can pin it together for a full season. You know?
Yeah, it's been 1 year. It's hard to say someone's a top 10 dynasty quarterback after 1 year of playing. So, I mean, it's an honor. I'd say I've ranked him ahead of a lot of guys who are good quarterbacks and have been for multiple years. So I'd say it's a good thing to be top 10.
Yeah.
For me, that ends my tier 4 and goes into my tier 3. I'm trying to think of kind of why this breaks off. I don't think there's a specific reason for this tier break. It's just like these guys. I think for me, maybe like I know these guys are like QB1. Maybe that's this tier break from my last to this tier. I'm starting off here at number 9 with Herbert, Justin Herbert. Obviously, I said earlier he's one of my quarterbacks in my main dynasty league. Man, he's such a good quarterback. He throws the ball so well. It's hard to find any other quarterback who just throws the ball better than him. Like I watch a lot of people who like analyze tape, and man, when he throws it, it's just right where he wants it to be, perfect spiral. He's so talented. I think the Jim Harbaugh thing is like what bumps him down a little bit for me. Obviously, everyone's scared about that. But I'm trying to be positive about it. I think a lot of people have bumped him like down past quarterback 9, and I think I'm holding him here. I think the efficiency is going to be there now. Like the running game obviously is going to scare people, and I think Herbert's not going to throw it 45 times a game anymore, but he's going to be very efficient with his passes. Obviously, losing Mike Williams and Keenan Allen is going to hurt. We'll have to see how it pans out with his wide receiver core. Josh Palmer, I think, is solid and going to be a solid option for him, but Quentin Johnson, we'll see. Lad McConkey, we'll see. I don't know. He's such a good quarterback. I think the running with Harbaugh is going to be scary, but also he's a good coach. I think there's going to be efficiency there. So I think 9 is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel the same way about Herbert. I think he's just the overall talent level is just superb, I guess. But
yeah,
I would have to say we're going to see a lot of games that are like he's, 21 of 25 for 237 and 3 touchdowns, which is like
that's what I anticipate. Yeah.
All about that. Maybe, 2 touchdowns, maybe not 3, but it's going to be one of those things where I think we're betting the under on his overall passing yards quite often, but I don't think it's going to be a bad thing at all. Like
it's going to be consistent.
Throw it 45 times a game.
It's going to be consistent low end QB1, high end QB2 numbers. It's never going to be, I don't think it's ever really going to be QB1, QB2 of the week. It's just always going to be QB 6 through 14.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be consistent. He's going to get scores. It's going to look good. I mean, his completion percentage, I think, is going to be crazy high compared to what it has been.
Yeah.
I see that happening.
Yeah. I think from a dynasty standpoint, I think that's why you keep him in the top 10 is because of the pure talent. Like, he's more talented than Goff or Purdy or, any of those guys. And there are going to be times where, their team's beat up. They can't run the ball efficiently because whomever, shuts them down in the run game, and then it goes all on Herbert, and he's going to have those games where he throws it 30 times a game. Or
they're going to play against the Chiefs twice a year, so
they're going to ask him to go 7 of 10 on the final drive of the game to win it, and this is when he's going to be fresh enough to do that. And, that's what I could definitely see. So,
8. I have Caleb Williams 1 spot ahead of Justin Herbert, and this is all upside. People like the arm talent. They like the mobility. The situation obviously is great for rookie quarterback. I side with you here a little bit where it's an unknown rookie thing. You just never know. I don't know. It's not a sure thing. He's obviously like the number 1 QB in this draft. Looks good, looks promising, could be great, but I kind of want to see a little bit first before moving him up. Obviously, could be considered top 5 next year, but I just don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nailed it.
That's it. Yep.
That's it. I don't really have much else to say.
No,
I'm super excited though to see them on Hard Knocks. I think my rankings will change.
Oh yeah.
I watch Hard Knocks.
Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Let me see what he's like in the building. Like, I want to see who the guy Caleb Williams is in the building. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, that'll probably bump him up, but we'll see.
Yeah. Or down.
Yeah, he is kind of a weird guy. We'll see.
Oh.
He's different. He's different than the typical quarterback that gets taken number 1.
Yeah.
Speaking of quarterbacks taken number 1, number 7 for me, Joe Burrow on the Bengals. And this seems low for him, and I know that, and I feel that. The only reason I have him this low, there's 2 reasons. One is I think T's going to be gone soon. If not before the season, he's going to be gone soon. And Joe can do it without T, but the number 1 concern for me is the wrist. And honestly, at the end of the season, it could not be an issue at all. It could be completely fine. Everything's totally fine. But quarterbacks don't have the type of injury in his wrist that he has. It's like an offensive lineman type of injury. On the Pat McAfee show, AJ Hawk talked about he had it, and he can't bend his wrists all the way that he used to be able to. He literally lost mobility, and I can only imagine that's not good for a quarterback. I mean, on his throwing wrist. And even that aside, he's had a lot of injury concerns in his career so far already. Like, he gets banged up, and he is not someone you can consistently plug in, but when he's on, and he's a great quarterback. So it's hard to put him lower than this, but I am super concerned about the wrist, and I just want to see him on the field consistently before I put him higher than this. Yeah,
I would have to agree. I mean, the whole injury thing was essentially in our startup at pick 7. I took Justin Jefferson over him. I was really debating between those 2, and I was like, I know it's a super flex, but that's just the route I chose to go. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think he's as talented we've seen as anybody in the league. It's just a matter of health.
Is he in your 1 tier yet, or is he a 2 tier for you?
He's tier 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. He's tier 1.
You have the bottom part of it.
Yep.
Okay. So there's still, I mean, there's concern there, but he's a QB. He's a tier 1 guy.
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah. I actually have him ahead of the guy you're probably going to say next.
Probably.
Anthony Richardson.
He's my next. Yep. Number 6.
And the reason why I have Richardson, Burrow ahead of Richardson is because Richardson's played 3 games in the NFL.
Yep.
So he has that insane, just pure insanity for upside. But
they're both having issues with injuries.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're gonna say, what'd you say? What was your quote on Jordan Love? You said, "How can we have a guy, tier 1 quarterback if we haven't seen him play but a full season?" You can't even say the
Richardson's
same
about 2.5. But
yeah.
Richardson's played like 2.5 games, like maybe a little bit more than that. Last year he had more top 5 finishes than Patrick Mahomes. So
yeah, 100%.
It's insane. I mean, he is, man.
Yep.
He is, when you think about like Cam Newton rushing unstoppable, wow. But I mean, what I like is he seemed to throw the ball well his first year. Like at Florida, he completed like 60% of his passes, and his 2.5 games in the NFL, he completed like 66 or something. It was like a little bit better, which obviously could be a little fluky, but I think there's a chance there where Richardson kind of just fits better in the NFL, and he's just like, he figures some things out, and all indications are that he's a great guy, great work ethic, incredible athlete. I don't know, like I have him ahead of Burrow just because of the upside. He could be, if he hits this year, and like, I mean, if he's unstoppable on the ground, think about how long Cam Newton reigned for with like fantasy football. He was a top 3 guy every year for a long time. And that could be Richardson. Richardson could be a better passer. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's all upside. I mean, yeah, I have him at 6 because upside. He looks amazing. He's just gotta keep it together and stay on the field.
He's 22.
Yeah.
Like a massive human at 22. He's like not done growing. I've heard him on he spoke about the McAfee show earlier. I watch it almost every day that it's on. Pat McAfee had Anthony Richardson on, and I like the new age that we're in. We're able to hear people talk, and I've just found myself enjoying so many other players on different teams because of, what they do in the media. And I mean, he is he seems like he's
on that show. He threw a ball into the net. Like, I mean, obviously they're concerned about his shoulder and whatever, but he threw it accurately from across the gym or whatever. Like, looks good. What was I gonna say? Shoot, that's something I was gonna say.
I was gonna say I also like him with what Shane Steichen did with Hurts Super Bowl year for the Eagles, and then being able to try and do that same thing again. I like what they put around him. Obviously, players are one thing, but Shane Steichen, another great piece to put around him. So, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Did you see he had like a 360 like between the legs dunk? Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
that was insanity.
I forgot who said it, but they were like, I don't know if like 20% of NBA players can do that. He's just a freak.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. That's a crazy thing, it seems like. And as I've gotten older and stuff, I've noticed just maybe it's because of the media, so we see the videos more often, but it's just like the things that the talent of these young dudes coming in is just nuts.
That's insane. He's just, he's nuts. All right, this is where I break it. This is my tier 2, so I still have my 2 tiers left. And this might get into the territory where we disagree on a few things. And a lot of it is because I have hot takes, I think. I wasn't like specifically out to try to have hot takes, but I have a few things that are maybe a little bit surprising. My number 5 Dynasty QB is Jalen Hurts.
Offended.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Man, obviously he's shown it. It looks good. The rushing touchdowns are insane. If the rushing touchdowns drop off a little bit, that'd be concerning. I like that they have Kellen Moore now. I think that's going to be interesting. And you probably have a ton more information on this, so I'll probably like keep this brief. I don't know. The fall off at the end of the season was scary. Rushing quarterbacks, the longevity of them scare me a little bit.
Mhm.
Just because, I mean, there's injury concern every year with like taking a bad hit, and also some of their production could fall off if they decide to run less. Like there's some talk this year about having Lamar Jackson have less design runs, and that could like I could see that hurting him quite a bit. So like you just kind of never know when that's going to come. So that's why I have him like down here at 5. Obviously, a great quarterback, could be considered top 3 in many circles, but I like him at 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I have him. I mean, I have him in our league. He's the reason why I won the championship. I finished
Yeah.
third last year. Like, I obviously Eagles fan, big fan of him. I have him in my tier, like top of the tier one, but I don't like. I wouldn't say he's my standalone QB one.
Yeah.
Like if you, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, kind of interchangeable for me. I honestly kind of have Patrick Mahomes a little bit lower, just
Yep.
because there's just he doesn't he just wins, He doesn't
Yeah. I get that.
fantasy football, that stuff. But
I get that.
as far as Jalen Hurts, yeah, I mean, going into this season, I watching the collapse of the Eagles last year and just like seeing that it was like an entire collapse from every like aspect of the team, from like coaching staff to every position. If
Yeah.
you go to turn on some tape from third downs last year, Brian Johnson was having our three receivers and tight end just run fades on 3rd and 3.
Yeah, they
It's
didn't
just
change.
like
They didn't change anything.
anything. And like honestly, when we were winning too, I can cite my sources. You can go back and ask some people, but when we were 10-1, I was like, yeah, this isn't
It's
the
not going to
same.
last.
I could
It felt
tell
bad.
the Bills game, the Chiefs game, there's a couple of other games in there where it's just like shouldn't we had no business winning that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have a lot more faith with Kellen Moore. He's going to put guys in motion. We didn't put anybody in motion last year.
Yeah.
There was no scheming these guys open.
It makes no sense that people aren't doing that anymore. Like,
no,
it's so
absolutely not.
obvious that it works. Like,
Yeah,
Shanahan.
especially when like the year before, we literally like a big part of why we lost the Super Bowl was from the Chiefs running the corn dog play with the guys just running, run out, run in, run back out. And it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But I don't know. And the rushing thing, like I truly believe like the year we ran, like made the run to the Super Bowl, like yeah, the tush push got all the headlines and stuff, but Jalen was slinging it.
Yep.
Like he was throwing the ball, and even in the earlier part of the season, he was like making some throws. So like I'm higher on his throwing ability than a lot of people are. But also, whatever, we added Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. The weapons are all there. But I also like a pretty pissed, bitter Eagles fan that has like a terrible taste in my mouth for from last year. So it's like, yeah, cool. Like all the talk, it's great, but also like I want to see it this year, obviously. And I'm high on Jalen Hurts. I still have him as a top, like I said, top end of tier 1 because of I do think they'll turn it around. I trust in his leadership. He gets crapped on by the Philadelphia media all the time because he's too quiet and too stoic, but he's the same. If you go and look at his interviews from his freshman year in college, he's the same exact guy. He's about his business, and I just really believe in that. And I'll say one more thing though, that I would be lying if there wasn't a slight little bit of me that has a little bit of like PTSD from Carson Wentz because
he looked great.
Dude was the best quarterback in the league, tore his ACL, and then a whole bunch of stuff. Different situations, but there's still that like, all right, let's not do this again.
He tore his ACL diving in the end zone. And you don't think Jalen Hurts might ever do that?
Right. Well, and then Carson comes out, throws the touchdown on a torn ACL to take the lead nonetheless. So I had a lot of, but still a good season.
Yeah. He's a good guy, good quarterback, solid.
Yeah. I see why. I think I see why he deserves to be at the, your 5th. I see why he should, I see lists of top 10 quarterbacks in the league. And it's like, the last thing we saw of the Philadelphia Eagles was the worst team in football. Like they were the worst team in football the last month and a half.
Yeah.
Like there's no question about that. So why wouldn't anybody be high on the Eagles?
Yeah. There wasn't it didn't look good. There wasn't anything to be excited
about. I had a buddy
about.
that's a Buccaneers fan. He was trying to tell me that the Bucs are going to lose. I'm like, you're going to beat the hell out of us. Let me tell you why. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I like him there. You say you probably like him top 3 kind of tier?
Yeah, I take him top 3, but I mean that might be I for me when anybody argues why he
Yeah,
isn't,
it's hard to.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, what am I supposed to say that he looked pretty terrible at the end of last year? You're not wrong. I just
Yeah.
have faith in him coming back and not letting last year be the deal.
Yep. All right. Rushing quarterbacks. Number 4, I got Lamar. And I, yeah, he's just, I mean, when it comes to running, he's just so good. And he is a cheat code in fantasy at times. And he could win you so many weeks, win you a championship if it's on. I think the new offensive coordinator last year is throwing it more. Is good. I think he's a good thrower. I don't think he's an excellent thrower, but man, his rushing ability is just insane. The upside you can get on a week for Lamar Jackson just breaking an 80-yard touchdown run is insane. And also like a healthy Mark Andrews this year could be great. I think I don't know. I just have him a tick above Hurts just because of how amazing he is as a runner. And I think the passing scheme is going to work out really well this year for the Ravens with the weapons they have.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have him, I have 6 guys in tier 1. So I'd have him somewhere in the middle there. It's just like the run first offense that's kind of a concern. I think the talent is there. I think he's a pretty decent thrower. Like there's bad throws, but every quarterback kind of makes bad throws. But I think he's a better thrower than people give him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now they got Derrick Henry and stuff. I just think they're going to be still that Baltimore team. That's just kind of where I knock him a little bit.
I don't know. I've heard less designed runs for Lamar, but also I could see them doing like an option deal with Henry and Lamar, and it's I mean, what are you gonna do?
Right, the RPOs and stuff.
Yeah, if Henry is still if he's still got a little bit left in the tank, what are you gonna do? You gonna chomp down on Henry, or are you gonna try to contain Lamar, or are you gonna cover Andrews coming over the middle? Or Zay Flowers running some kind of reverse thing. I think they're
deep.
Yeah, they're really gonna. I think they just have so much that you're gonna be worried about that I think it's gonna work this year, and we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah Likely.
Yeah,
he's coming out there too. Split 12 personnel.
Yep. Yeah, this is the big controversy here for me, honestly, and now we're gonna get into heated debate. Because I know you want to move. Yeah, I know you want to move Mahomes down, and this is kind of, I think, my spicy take. And I have this because this is dynasty quarterbacks that I would want to have on my team. They're ranking 20-1. So when I was looking at it, I put Josh Allen at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, it's all the changes with the coordinator and the team and what receiving options they have right now. Allen is amazing. I know obviously stuff like that can change. They can get an amazing receiver next year and be fine. But this year there might be some growing pains. There might be some rough patches. Allen's rushing ability is great, but he's 27 now, 28, which, maybe that's a point where they start saying maybe we should run a little bit less, probably not now, but maybe next year. And I'm just thinking about quarterbacks that I want on my dynasty team long term. I love Josh Allen, number 3. But I think there's enough concern there for me to have him below my top 2. Curious to see what you think.
Yeah, I can see that. It's hard for me because there is the concern that the receiving situation is just kind of resetting out there, and it's really they're really saying, all right, Josh Allen, now you have to be Patrick Mahomes. You have to be that guy. So the concern for me is, will he be that? But
he had his jump with Diggs. That's when he got good.
Right. And now can he carry that over to help develop a Keon Coleman or help
I'm not saying he needs Diggs, but I think he might need a good receiver to get open.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have that, obviously he has the ability to extend plays and make plays, but I'm a little worried about him not having that. And the Bills have kind of been playing this game where they're we're competitors, but also we might not be. So maybe we should take a step back and do a retool kind of deal. So I don't know. That worries me a little bit.
Yeah. I have Allen, Hurts, and Mahomes probably like my top three.
Yep.
Like I would, and I kind of put Stroud just
Yep.
one tick below that, just for like the show me it again factor.
Yep.
Like that's the reason why I kind of have that. But I really, and this is kind of why I would kind of move Mahomes back up over Josh Allen. Like I kind of move. I've been higher on Mahomes this year than I had been like the year before that because
Yep.
of I like what the Chiefs are doing at the receiver position.
Yep.
This is from a fantasy standpoint. Like obviously
Yeah.
they've been able to win it without Tyreek Hill, but I'm
Yep.
talking from like fantasy football here.
Mhm.
Like hands down best quarterback in the game. Doesn't matter what he has. He's gonna go win a Super Bowl probably. But from fantasy football, adding Hollywood Brown, I added Hollywood Brown in our startup
Yep.
intentionally. I targeted him and like Deontay Johnson because I like their situations, I like
Yep.
their age, I like where they're at. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, I have Josh Allen and I have Jalen Hurts, and I am fine with either of them, I guess, in this position.
Yep.
So
That's
it's
what
hard to
that's what
argue.
tiers are for. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's still
it's hard to
tier one
argue.
guy, number 3.
Who did you wait? So you had number 5 was
Hurts, Lamar, Allen. Yeah. So to finish up with Josh Allen, um, do you strongly feel like he should be top 2 over like 3 or lower? Is there something that you have that you feel strongly about that he's a top 2 guy and not 3 or lower? This is what I'm
not
curious.
necessarily. No. And my tier 1, it's no particular order. Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow. Not in any particular order, but that's kind of why I do the tier system.
Yeah.
Because now that you're like putting me on the spot to pick one of like those three, so hard for me.
Well, it's like what if you're in the first round and you have a pick where you know you're taking a quarterback? Like which is the first one you take if you have
Right.
your pick?
Yeah.
Which one?
I think in our startup, I think Josh Allen went one.
Yeah, I think so.
Like in Jalen Hurts, I think ended up going like I want to say like mid round 1 or something like that, 4 or 5.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds right.
But yeah, I mean, no, I think your points of him not like them retooling is definitely something of a concern.
Yeah.
So, like, and especially, I could even see CJ Stroud over Josh Allen if somebody wanted to argue that with me because of
Might be
the
me.
weapons that he has. I mean, he just got Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so
just like, yeah, I don't know. It looked bad at the start of his career, and obviously he figured a lot of stuff out and is a great quarterback, but I just don't know without the pieces and if the team can't figure out how to put the right pieces around him. Like if Coleman doesn't hit and they're throwing primarily to Kincaid and Dawson Knox and Khalil Shakir, I don't think he's going to look as good as he did before, and we might be worried after this year. I don't know.
right. Yeah. My last point on Josh Allen too, like especially the Stephon Diggs thing too, like Diggs did drop, and I know
yeah.
there's more than one play in like an entire football season, but Diggs did drop that pass against the Chiefs in the playoffs that would have set them up.
Yeah.
And then also I think to that Eagles game, like the Bills should have beat the Eagles in overtime, but Gabe Davis ran it in when, the ball went out, and or I guess I can't necessarily blame Gabe Davis. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be curious. I think Josh Allen's just on the
Yeah.
spotlight this year, and like, will he take the step forward, back, stay stagnant? What will happen? I guess we'll find out.
I don't see a world where he takes a step up, and I think that's why I have him lower. I think if he maintains what he had, that would be like a huge win for the year. Like if he does it with who he's got in his team now, like we'll praise Josh Allen. But I don't think if he repeats it with his current weapons, I'm gonna raise him up unless they land T. Higgins or something. I don't know. Like which
Right.
I don't even see how that would happen, but
Right. Well, and I also think, sorry, I keep adding one more thing on Josh
Sorry.
Allen, but like the Keon Coleman too. Like I think the dude, he got gassed up so much because of his post draft interviews and stuff like that. He's such a lovable character as just as a guy, and I'll be curious to see he's 20 years old. Like how is the learning curve going to be for that with Josh Allen, and
Yeah. Um,
And will they rely on James Cook? Like, is James Cook going to keep getting work? Because they really let him cook. And then to the point of dynasty value, fantasy value, he's going to slide because of that.
Yeah, I personally really like Keon Coleman. I think he's great at catching the ball and running with it. I think the one concern or knock with him is he doesn't separate as well as other prospects did, which I think is going to be a bigger issue with Allen. I think he thrives on having a guy who runs a good route and gets open. So I think there's going to be a learning curve there. I don't think it's going to work right away.
Yep.
I think he's a talented receiver, but I don't think it's going to click right away.
Mm-hmm.
Personally. And now I've separated out my tier 1, which is weird. So I have them in a separate tier. I have my own tier 1 of Stroud is my number 2. And I have Mahomes at 1. So Stroud at 2, this is because when I was going through this list, I was telling you, I was just looking at who would I like to have on my dynasty team. And I think if I had Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson and I could trade and get CJ Stroud, I think I might do that. And Stroud, I don't think is going to I don't know. He's shown enough to me for me to know that he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I don't know that he's going to be outstanding top 3 every year, but I think I would want to take the chance on that after what I've seen. I just think with his age and his size and athleticism and what he's shown, and the fact that the Texans have 2 great young receivers that he loves and they're willing to put other pieces around him like Diggs. I don't know. I don't think he's going to finish top 3 this year, but I still have him as a dynasty quarterback too. It's really hard to explain, but I like him there.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, back to like the media thing and these guys having a chance to talk outside of football, and you can hear from listening to him talk in, like, he's been on Micah's podcast, he's been in the media, he's been on the McAfee show a few times. Like, dude is smart. Like, he seems like he knows ball, and I think that's super important too. Like, the brain is such a hard thing to measure. Obviously there's like tests or whatever, but they said that CJ Stroud was dumb or whatever going into the draft, and turns out he's pretty freaking smart.
I wonder if those are all true. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever said if they were just blowing smoke out there or not. I don't know.
Yeah, smoking.
It wouldn't surprise me if he got a Rashawn Gary score in the Wonderlic. Like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a great football quarterback. He's a good mind. He knows what he's doing, and he's 23, 24. Yeah,
I think there's something about that Ohio State program that puts out people that know ball. Like, there's some like college programs that just Alabama, they have a infrastructure that's just different than other colleges. So I think he's got that going for him.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking, to add to your point of the weapons too, they added Joe Mixon as well in the backfield to give him some help. So,
and they drafted his college tight end, and they have Schultz already. So
yep,
I don't know.
Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs.
It's solid.
Is there a 4th receiver there? No, John Mechie, but he's not.
Yeah, Mechie.
Yeah,
he's still there. See,
he gets traded.
Yeah, and then I have a Mahomes 1, which I know is higher than you have him. You have him kind of at your lower end of your tier 1. I think I have him here because of some reasons you brought up earlier. Like, I think the Chiefs are doing the right thing, getting pieces around him this year. I laughed earlier when you said, like, they've been doing good with their wide receivers, because I just think of Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, but I mean, that threw me off when you said that. But yeah, I mean, this year I'm a huge believer in what I saw late in the year and in the playoffs with Rashee Rice and Patrick Mahomes. Like, obviously with all the crappy off the field stuff, hopefully that all works out. I've been trying to get Rashee Rice where I can. In my league, I really want him, but Roper's got him right now. I think him and Rashee Rice have a good chemistry, and they're going to build on it. I think he's going to be his number 1 going forward. And then obviously you have Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy is a first round fast wide receiver. He's not a guy everyone overlooked in the 4th or 5th round. He's a talented 1st to 2nd round caliber wide receiver who's extremely fast. And if anything, if they just scheme plays for him, he's going to be amazing. And like I said, I like the other wide receivers on their team. I think they just have so much, not to mention Travis Kelce. I think that's my biggest concern is when Kelsey is kind of on his way out, but I think Mahomes has done enough to prove that he can spread the ball around and make whatever weapons he has work. He's 28 now, but he's not like a super mobile, like taking big hits running quarterback, which I actually kind of like in my dynasty rankings. I like a quarterback who's more of a pocket passer who can throw for 4 touchdowns in a week to get his points. Like Mahomes is competing with those rushing quarterbacks points wise because he can put up 4 or 5 touchdown games. So I just really like that. I like what they put around him. I feel really great that he's going to be a solid top end quarterback for the next 8 years. So I just think he's solid.
Yeah. I think the $500 million contract, job security aspect of it, how he just figures out ways to win. What I have to ask, what did I say about Chiefs receivers?
You were saying that like you like what they're doing with them. Or you like what they have done. I think you said you like what they have done.
This offseason, I was saying.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Is in like Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy, those guys. But what I was saying too is like what I think Josh Allen's gonna have to do is kind of like what Patrick Mahomes was forced to do when they got rid of Tyreek Hill, is win with what you got, and that's just what you got.
Yep.
And I see that being, the case for Josh Allen. But yeah, I think as far as Patrick Mahomes goes, I think they're, I don't know. I don't see why they wouldn't be Super Bowl favorites again. The receivers that they've added, they've lost, Snead on defense, so that's going to be tough to replace. But Andy Reid, it's just it's a first class organization as far as like dynasty standpoint goes. The longevity of just like Mahomes being the guy for the next 12 years, 15 years, like we're talking about.
Yeah.
Modern science and medicine, getting longer. Is Mahomes going to play until he's 45? We don't know. Yeah. It's crazy to think. So it's hard to argue. I think if we would have done this 1 year ago to the date, I probably wouldn't have been. Mahomes would have been mid to the end of tier 1 for me, just kind of somewhere. I had him last year in a redraft league, and it was so painful to have him. He wouldn't score 20 points at any week.
Even this year wasn't that great. He wasn't top 5. Once. He was top 5 once, but it wasn't a great year. I see the future being brighter, which is weird because he's already been like Patrick Mahomes for this long. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I like him. He's solid. I like the team. I like where they're going. And it's just, I acquired him late last year, and I'm excited for this upcoming season where I can just put him in my lineup and be like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to get 3 touchdowns and 300 yards probably. And it's going to feel good. Like he's just a rock that I want in my lineup.
Yeah.
But missing the rushing upside of Hurts, Allen.
Yeah. Well, so, as an Eagles fan, I hope Hurts doesn't rush as much. When his knee and stuff started bothering him, it's not a good look. So I want him to be able to use the rushing strategically.
Yep.
So
before we get into guys left off the list, is there like any strong opinions you have that I like totally messed it up, or like, do you feel like way differently on some things? Is there anything that stuck out?
I would say, because where did you had Dak?
I think like 15 or something.
Hey, you want to run through your list 20 through 1?
Yeah, I can do it. I have to look this way though, or I can.
Yeah, that's fine.
20s McCarthy, Bryce Young, Jared Goff, Tua. Then it was 16's Drake May. Dak was at 15. Purdy at 14. Jaden Daniels at 13. Kyler at 12. Trevor Lawrence at 11. Jordan Love at 10. Herbert at 9. Caleb Williams at 8. Joe Burrow at 7. Richardson at 6. Then Hurts, Lamar, Allen, then Stroud and Mahomes.
Yeah, I think the only one that really stands out is Dak. I would put him ahead of the 3 you had in front of him. I'd move him.
Yeah.
I would feel okay. I wouldn't argue if you put him ahead of Kyler Murray even.
Yeah, it sounded like you were like okay with him switching teams if that happens. Oh, so I think that's maybe where we're different. I think. Yep. I don't think it'd be good if he switches teams.
And this is from like a fantasy standpoint, because I put Dak is such an interesting guy because he's such a regular season, he just dominates during the regular season, and then it just seems like he poops his pants in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I kind of see him and Kirk Cousins very similarly
Oh
in
yeah.
that standpoint.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know what it is, and maybe a new team will do it. Maybe a new team will do it for Kirk. Um, and I think a new team for Dak might help. I mean, I also dislike the Cowboys
Yeah.
because, I just don't know. Jerry Jones seems like he's a wild card. Like, I have no
Yeah.
idea what that team's doing. I think having the star on the helmet too, like being the America's team, like being that guy, go over to the Raiders, be like the new enemy,
Be Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, well, but yeah.
I think you mentioned Kirk Cousins. I look at Dak and Kirk very similarly. They play very similar. Dak is 30, going to turn 31, I think, this year ish, and Cousins is 34, 35,
36.
36. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit different. I was going to say Cousins is not even on my top 20, so
yeah,
you can maybe see how age and what the quarterback offers contributed to that. But yeah, I see why you have him higher. I get it. He was amazing the end of last year. I have those concerns. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and you have a different price tag on your rookies too. I kind of knock them just a spot or two lower because I don't know. Like, if I'm going to build the team and I want to compete, I mean, prime example is our startup. Like, I took Dak Prescott as my QB1. Granted, it's because I went, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase to start the whole thing, Jahmyr Gibbs. But,
yeah, that it makes a big difference. If you're a competitive team, obviously this list would get shaken up for me. I think I approached it as like a middle of the road, like maybe on the lower end. That's kind of where I looked at it. Like, if I was maybe not competing this year, but still in the middle of the road, like who would I want is kind of where I went.
Right.
But if you're competitive, I would definitely raise them up.
Yeah. Well, and I can see like if your team is like stacked with I don't know, your roster is complete, you're just kind of missing that quarterback and you want to take and try and move Jared Goff to try and get Dak Prescott. I think that would be an upgrade. Or, I mean, I was looking at some guys left off the list. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say I would trade JJ McCarthy to get Dak Prescott unless if your team is in like a sure on like I'm rebuilding now. I want to go give Dak Prescott to the guy that wants to go win the championship.
So just looking at what I had, I don't think you would trade Lawrence to get Prescott, would you?
No.
Would you trade Kyler to get Prescott? That's borderline.
Yeah, I would have to really think about that.
And you would rather have Dak over Purdy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
And then, so I just had Purdy one spot of Dak. I had a Dak, but other than that, it'd be Jaden Daniels, which is a rookie.
Yep.
And maybe you'd want Dak over Jordan Love?
I probably would. Maybe. I think that's team build and roster.
Yeah, so that's quite a
few
spots.
Right. Yeah, that's very hard. Controversial to go against, but it does kind of play in a factor for me. I had a trade before this past season in a dynasty, and I traded away Herbert as part of a deal to get Justin Jefferson, and Dak came back to me with Justin Jefferson, and I had Jalen Hurts as my starter. So I went from Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert to Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and also added Justin Jefferson. Gave up a bunch of first and second round picks.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
There's a lot of other draft capital in there, but speaking
you got something back on it, yeah.
Yeah, and I moved, I moved from, where we have Herbert as our, quarterback, 8 or 9?
I had him at 9, yeah.
Yeah, and down
that's the kind of deal I feel good about. Like if you're competitive, going from Herbert down to Dak and getting something on top of it, I think that's like a great move. That's the kind of moves you got to make, which I kind of just start thinking about. So
well, and it was a huge move for the guy that I traded with too, because his team was very much like in just like he drafted Justin Jefferson, but he also drafted N'Keal Harry. He drafted so he's had this like up and down draft of just like he had an opportunity to get his quarterbacks at the time where I think he had Dak Prescott and Derek Carr, which Derek Carr's doo-doo kind of, and Dak Prescott, as we're talking about, is kind of,
Yep.
outside of the top 10. So
you wanted
he
a
gets,
younger, you solid quarterback, get some picks to try to retool a little bit. Yeah.
he gets Herbert. He gets Herbert. He gets a bunch of picks. I think he took Malik Neighbors and Xavier Worthy, and like he really loaded up. So he has a chance to really
turn around,
flip the team
nice.
around. So,
Nice.
But yeah, that's just a trade involving some of these quarterbacks.
All right. How about some honorable mentions? I know when we got to like 16, you mentioned Kirk Cousins, and I was like, I didn't want him in the top 20, but I have a lot of rookies in the top 20. I have all the way down to McCarthy. So is that maybe where you see Kirk is like just kind of taking off one of those rookies off the list and putting Kirk in there?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's kind of again, I think it's how your team construction, overall team construction, but I think Kirk, I really like him in Atlanta. It's obviously there's question marks how he's healing, but I think modern medicine's telling us that he's going to be fine, I guess, but he's still 36. So it all kind of depends upon how you're building it. I definitely think whoever drafts Kirk Cousins has to grab Michael Penix. I think that's like a guarantee. Like I feel like if you're taking Kirk Cousins as your QB1, or if you're taking him here in the top 20, you have to grab Michael Penix just to because it's kind of like the Brock Purdy, like what San Fran did. They went and gave up all that stuff for Trey Lance, but then got Brock Purdy, and it's just like, well, if we drafted Trey Lance with the last pick and drafted Brock Purdy 3 overall, we'd be okay with, that's kind of how I see that. Stafford too, Matt Stafford. I don't necessarily know if I slide him into the top 20, but I definitely think he needs to get like a tip of the cap as like a quarterback too.
Yeah, he's a guy. If you're a quarterback away and you have the draft pick to take JJ McCarthy and you could just turn it into Stafford and like something else on the side, I wouldn't hate it. But you got to, a year, maybe 2.
Right, exactly.
So absolutely solid quarterback. Yeah.
Other than that, I accidentally brought up Deshaun Watson. I really think he's dead meat, but I also think
there's something there.
Bit of potential, and like you said, he got paid, so he has to play. He's got weapons. They traded for Jerry Jeudy, Njoku, Mari Cooper.
Yeah, with Chubb being hurt, I don't know. Like maybe they'll pass more. I don't know. Maybe that'll change things, but
another guy, and I kind of see this tier like of guys that are like the Baker Mayfield, the Matt Stafford, the Geno Smith. I don't necessarily know if these are guys we need to talk about in our top 20 at all, but I think they're guys that are worth.
They're important.
On your
they're important for rosters. Yeah.
I think of them as the low end Jared Goff tier, where it's just like I'm fired up that this guy's my quarterback too.
You feel that way about Geno or somebody?
I wouldn't say fired up is the right thing, but I think they're starting quarterbacks in a super flex in offenses.
Yeah, maybe like you feel comfortable having him as a QB2 range.
I think Geno Smith is a bad example because I do kind of like Sam Howell a little bit more than Geno out there. Like I want to see that quarterback battle, but like Baker Mayfield and Matt Stafford for sure.
Sure, yeah. I could see Baker, yeah.
I don't think they're like gonna blow you out of the water. Sorry, I'm just looking at some quarterback rankings. Also, Bryce Young. I haven't brought his name up too, but I would throw him. I think you have him properly rated. I can see why he's back into the 20s, or back into the teens, early 20s,
late teens.
Yeah,
I could see it. I could see him jumping up if it looks better this year, but
yeah,
there's concerns for sure.
Guys that I find, I'm just kind of looking at names here,
and I genuinely, I just favor young guys. Like that's just how.
Yeah,
I've always been that way.
Yeah, we're in a couple of the dynasty leagues, and that's like that's all you drafted.
I want
rookies basically,
and the newest one, yeah, which is weird because I took Kirk Cousins in that too. So I took Kirk Cousins and got Penix, like you were talking about, but I did the reverse. I got Kirk first, and then took Penix right away because ultimately I want Penix, but I need someone to plug in while Penix is not playing. So I honestly will probably look to trade Kirk Cousins at some point.
Yeah, I was gonna say if he goes out and looks as good as he is, there could be somebody that will. I have Dak Prescott. Might as well get the.
There you go.
Kirk Cousins, the Coles version of Dak Prescott.
There you go.
Some other guys that we didn't talk about that I could see showing up on this list by the end of the season, or even if we're looking at like a top 24 list, if we wanted to do that.
Yeah.
hypothetically speaking, but like I I'm gonna be controversial when I say this. I don't necessarily think Russ is entirely cooked. I think he looked decent in Denver. He made good throws. He didn't look awesome, but for whatever reason, Sean Payton hated the guy. So I'll be curious to see what he can do in Pittsburgh. Um, and I wouldn't be
I
surprised if he showed up as QB 22 this year or something like that.
Yep. So in your startup, I drafted him and Fields,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But I don't know. I could see it's going to be weird. I think Russell Wilson's going to look okay. He's going to look better than he did last year. And I think ultimately by the end of the year, they're going to give Fields a chance too. And then who knows at the end of the year, they're going to try to keep one and the other one's going to have to try to find a home again. I don't know. That's a lot of unknowns, but
yeah,
I don't think he's done. He's like 35. I think he's got something left if a team believes in him.
right. Yeah, I totally agree. I almost thought, and I had said too, prior to the season that I thought the Vikings should have been a candidate for Russell Wilson. I was all in on that, and people are like, no, they're going to draft one. I was like, still draft.
That would have been perfect. He signed for the veteran minimum.
Right. So Russell Wilson signed for like $1.3 million, and they signed Sam Darnold for $10 million.
When you look at the coaches, it makes sense. So Darnold played for Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell. It makes sense, but
yeah. But I was like, this makes a lot of sense. But I'm glad Russ, as a Badgers fan, Russ will get another chance to cook. So we'll see. Another guy that we hadn't really talked about, or I think I heard you slander his name a little bit under your breath, was Will Levis.
I didn't slander it. I said, what did I say about him? I said he showed. No, I actually said he showed enough promise that people believe in him because he's had a couple nice passes.
I thought you said like Will Levis for whatever reason.
I probably did say that.
You might have said that. I don't know. But I'm hopeful for Will Levis too. I like the offensive coordinator he's another guy that we didn't have didn't really talk about, but I could see him sliding into the top 24.
He'd definitely be a top 24 for me, yeah. But
yeah, I could see him being if he slides into there 18 or 17 or something like that. I think them bringing in Calvin Ridley and the offensive coordinator. And I, again, listening to media and listening to podcasts, I listened to the Bussin' with the Boys that had the new Titans head coach on there, and listening to him, how he feels about Will Levis. I was like, makes me feel good about it, I guess.
Yeah, I could see Will Levis. I could see me having him at 20 instead of McCarthy. I like Levis. He showed flashes. He looks pretty good. I just want to see it more. I think I only put McCarthy in there because of the rookie hype and like the situation he's in. But he's definitely top 24.
Right. Where would JJ McCarthy be if he went to New England?
Lower, way lower.
Right? You know? And if Drake May went to Minnesota, way higher probably.
Oh, yeah.
See?
If Drake May went to Minnesota, where would I put him? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
If Drake May went to Minnesota, I would put him above Jaden Daniels. I might put him above Kyler. I might put him at 12.
Right. That's like
I love Drake May though. That's just me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and to your point too, talking about Josh Dobbs, the part that impressed me, and I should have specified with like what impressed me about Kevin O'Connell and Josh Dobbs, is that week that Josh Dobbs got signed, Kevin O'Connell was basically telling him the plays in his headset, and I'm like, man, if that's your head coach, like that's the guy you got to have around your.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, also like, again, I've listened to McCarthy talk and stuff. I like where his head's at. He does a lot of meditating before games, and I'm confident in like the mindset and the just being able to handle the game from a brain level.
Yep.
I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
One more time. Ooh, see, this ranking has Justin Mark over Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert.
Sorry, I was playing music. Didn't hear any of that.
That's all right.
Okay. So, what were you saying? Sorry.
I was just saying that the newest rankings on that website has Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase as overall player 6 and 7, and then player 8 and 9 are Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert.
Wow.
Those are the four players that were involved in my selections in that startup. It was going to be Jefferson or Burrow, and then it was Herbert or Chase. And I went with the receivers.
The receivers, yeah.
Doing gritties.
I like it. Yeah, gritty gang. I love it.
Moving up for Jahmyr Gibbs and still being able to get Dak Prescott. Having my super flex either be like Will Levis, Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy does got me on edge a little bit, but I think having Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. I would have done the same thing you did. I like that.
It made me excited too. I was like, all right, you know what?
This would be fun.
Freaking normal.
That's what I did. I went way off the script with your startup draft. Like you said, I went rookies and young guys, and I don't know. Yeah. I feel like my dynasty team in my league is competitive and ready to go now. So I'm like, I kind of want someone staggered out a little bit. I want to be competitive in a couple of years in that one.
Yeah, who wants to win?
Yeah, I like losing for a little bit. All right, so what we're gonna do, this should be pretty quick and easy. We'll see. You might have seen them online, TikTok, what have you. Is I have 8 guys that I want you to try to guess in 15 words or less, if you've heard of that. So I have 15 words, and I got to get you to guess 8 guys. So I got to give you like 1 or 2 word hints to get you to guess them. And everyone who's watching can see who the guy is, see if you get them. I have 8 guys lined up. Some of them may be easy. Some of them might be hard.
Are these current players? Former players?
They're all current players.
Certain position?
I believe all offense.
Offense?
That's about as specific as it gets. No. Offense. Like, I had to pick people who I might be able to get you to guess in a word or two. So higher profile guys, not just some random offensive lineman.
Well, do I have 30? It looks like we have 7 minutes according to the timer.
I think we'll get it. We'll see. If not, we can extend. First one, I think this one might be easy.
Better give good clues.
The word I'm going to give you is king.
Derrick Henry.
A+. So it's one word.
Bing.
So now 14 words left. The next guy, I'm going to say tiny.
Tyreek Hill.
Nope. So now I got to give you another word. Cowboys.
Deuce Vaughn.
Yes. Okay. It's 3 down. Cheetah.
Oh, Tyreek Hill.
You already guessed him.
Yeah.
This one should be easy. I think I'm going to go with Steinfeld.
Oh. Can I get a mulligan? Can we redo that?
A mulligan? Oh, no.
That one's not that does nothing for me. I don't even know if I knew that was a word.
It's a name. I could go 2 words. I've only got 3 so far. I'll go Haley Steinfeld. No? Oh, gosh. I guess we could mulligan. I don't know. Okay, we can mulligan if you don't know. Yeah, if you're not hip. Okay, so
do you have a different word to describe this person? Is that all you got?
Yeah. If I use 2 words, I think you'll get it. But I was hoping to get it in 1 with the Steinfeld.
Oh, okay. What else you got?
Okay, we can
circle back.
We can circle back?
Maybe.
Okay.
It's not my game. I don't know how to play this thing.
Okay, so now let's try it again. We're at 5 words. Let's keep it rolling. We're at 5 words.
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Josh Allen?
Yeah. Shit. Should have done that right away. He's dating Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, I'm not on top of that.
Sorry. I
think it's my fault.
If I said Wyoming, I thought you might get it, but then I was going to say I might just say quarterback too. So I don't want to use 2 words. It's hard to do it in 1 word. Let's say eyes. That's probably not helpful.
Well, maybe let me think about it. Eyeball, like.
Yeah, eyeball size. I can give you another one if you want.
How many do I have left? How many people do I have left to guess? What I've got? Like 6? 5?
This is the 5th one. So there's like
10 left.
3 more after this. There's 8 guys.
3 more. And how many words do we have left?
I think we've done 7 so far, so I might need to give you an 8th. I can give you another word. It's pretty tough, but.
All right, give me another word.
Chiefs.
Thinking about who's got beautiful eyes on the Chiefs.
Yeah, beautiful is one word. It's funny because I have a picture of him right now on my screen. It's a tough one. It is a tough one, but hoping not to go to 3 words with this one. You should maybe guess before I go to a 3rd word.
So the only eyes that I can picture, but I just feel like if you use these 2 words to describe this player, I'd be kind of disappointed because there's easily easier words to describe this player.
That's why I hope I didn't mess it up.
Yeah. The only ones that have baby blue eyes on this team that I can think of is Travis Kelce.
I didn't say beautiful eyes. I just said eyes.
Well, unless you got Crazy Eyes Johnson out there.
Crazy eyes, you might be onto something.
Right.
Not to give extra words, but crazy eyes, you're on the right track.
I know. That's the 2 things I was thinking of, and I was like, let's say Swift.
I'll give you another word. I guess that would be. Oh,
Let me think.
So if I give you another one, it would be a 9. I think.
Can we come back to this one? Is this like Family Feud where I can say pass and then we move on to the next one?
We can come back. You just got to remember what I said.
Yeah. Already.
Okay. Oof. Next one. This one could be tricky. It could be tricky. I think you can get it in 2 words. I'm hoping you can get it in 1. Hamstring.
Christian Watson.
Yes.
Let's go.
Great.
Come on.
Perfect. I was hoping I didn't have to say Packers.
Give me their girlfriends.
Nice. Yeah, I won't give you girlfriends.
Just give me their college or.
There you go. Yeah. There's a lot of guys who have hamstring issues, but Watson's the worst. So.
Yeah.
There you go. This one I hope you'll get.
Might have just saved it.
You might have. Yeah, that was one. Nails.
Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Nice.
2 in a row.
How many words do we have left?
I believe that was 9 words total. I think we only have 1 person left, and then go back to the guy. So you still have 6 words for you. On the injury bandwagon, concussion.
Tua?
Yep. So now we got 5. We either got 5 or 4 more words, unless I'm counting completely wrong for this one guy that you haven't got yet.
Is it Isaiah Pacheco?
No, that's a good guess though. So now that you guess, I have to give you another word. But that is a good guess. The other word I'll give you is Giants.
Darius Toney?
Yes. There. So we definitely got it in 15. I don't know if it was in 12 or 13, but yes, it was Kadarius Toney. I didn't know if you'd like thought about like how crazy his like picture looks, but he's just like.
I was trying to think because I was trying to think of like the Sunday Night Football words.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kadarius Toney.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was hoping you think of, but that's a tough one. Like if you told me eyes, I'd be like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
And even with the Haley Steinfeld thing, I think we did it. So that's pretty impressive.
To show that I don't know. I don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
Although I would have nailed the Taylor Swift thing.
Yep.
That's pretty easy, I suppose.
Yep. Yeah. So how do we wrap it? We already talked top 20 quarterbacks. Covered most of it. Do you want to like? The one thought I had is maybe you want to say like quarterback you're really high on, or like someone you like don't have but want, or like something like that. I don't know.
I look like a floating head right now.
A little bit, yeah. You do actually. I noticed that.
Well, I'll have to change up the where I sit.
When you sit back, I can see your neck. It helps, but yeah. Otherwise, you're a floating head. Yeah.
Quarterbacks, yeah.
Or like maybe a guy we listed and talked about that like you like that you might want to try to get or something. I don't know. Who do you really like for quarterbacks?
Let me think here.
Or like are higher on than consensus or something like that.
I would probably say that I'm going to would back up my Trevor Lawrence love.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily love. I would just say his fandom. I'm a fan of his.
That is super interesting because that's who I was going to say too.
Oh, that is interesting. Other than that, I don't.
Yeah, lots of love for Trevor, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing that I would say is to people need to do a good job of separating fantasy football from real life football because sometimes there's a difference, and sometimes guys that go out there and pad some stats are good to have on the squad. And that's why I think I'm high on Dak Prescott.
Some garbage time guys.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm cool with Dak Prescott is because or Kirk Cousins because those guys sure I don't know if they're gonna go win NFL championship, but those guys can definitely go and win some I don't know, win some leagues, but be a pivotal part of a championship run.
Nice. Sweet. I think that's probably good. I think next time we'll maybe talk wide receivers, go all the way to top 24. Something like that.
Yeah. I'll have a little bit more thought out tiered list. I kind of just pieced mine together as we were getting on.
Oh, that's good. We'll have the same number of tiers. We'll have the same number of tiers next time.
Yeah.
And we'll be ready to go.
We'll think it out a little bit more.
I think wide receiver sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Here's our happy faces. All right. Thank you for tuning into episode 1. We'll catch you next time. Like we said, hopefully wide receivers. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Peace.
You ever watch YouTube?